Isn't that the whole technique of Hollywood?
I am afraid so.
Hollywood.
I am afraid so.
Check, checkity, check. Hi, everyone. I'm a slagger. Let me get these cameras on. Shout out to you guys in chat. What's going on, everybody?
Hello, good people.
Yeah. About to... All right, window capture. Come on. Here we are. Hi. Hi. Yep, cool. It's 7:05 p.m. on the East Coast. You're in the dojo. We have Kerri King. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. My anus.
My anus.
My anus.
You did it. I'm so proud of you.
I told you I would.
A nice make.
Thanks for the $20.
Anytime. I got you.
Word. So let's take a look at chat real quick. Say hi to everybody who's hanging out. There's a Chad.
Let's see.
I don't know
Let's
Chad.
see some people.
Thrasher King. Derek Tate. AJ Smith.
Chadola.
Hi guys. Oh, what to do? I'm just checking one more thing here, and I think we're ready to go. Cool. Hopefully, you're all excited about this. We're talking a little Scream.
Let's see. I'm trying to get us live on my phone.
Yeah, get it.
There we are. Hey.
Look at that.
Look at a drunk person chatting. Hey.
Hey, my anus.
Hello.
Guys, expect weirdness tonight, because I'm out of fucks to give, really.
Yeah, and I'm about to not be sober, so cheers to that.
Boy, we're having a good time. Hey. Getting a little feedback. I better turn my mic down. Curious Corduroy, that's your, they were here for your last show, I
That's
believe.
Mikey. Chadola's here. My peeps. Your one friend other than me that has a name.
Mm-hmm. Well, Thrasher King's a buddy of mine, too, and that's his real name. That's a family name right there.
Hey, AJ. I have a little lag on the app, but it's what it is.
Right on, AJ. Well, welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming by. First interview of the new year. Last one we did was Steve Rudzinski, and let me tell you, that was a great time. And shout out to Metal Man for helping us with that one.
What'd you chat about with that one?
Oh, see, you didn't check it out. You got to go check it out. We talked a lot of his independent movie making, acting, writing, some of his older stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Unicorn.
Carousel.
Carousel.
1 and 2. And he has an OnlyFans that I'm definitely subscribed to, and it has all his movies streaming on there for
That's
like
amazing.
$5.
Yeah. Do
Plus
it.
behind the scenes stuff.
Great.
I gotta
Should drop
shout
some
him.
links to those.
What's that now?
So drop some links to those.
Yeah.
I need to check out Carousel. I forgot about it, but I'm
It's,
glad you reminded me.
Absolutely amazing. One of my absolute favorite series, but we're not here to talk about Carousel, right?
No.
We're here to talk about chunky streams. I mean, the Scream movies is what we're meant
I
here
would
to talk
like
about.
to start it with what's your favorite scary movie?
That video of me dancing at prom. No. Well, scary movies. What's your favorite scary movie? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? No, that's a joke. That's a joke. Got jokes.
I was gonna say My Left Foot, so close enough. Basically the same thing.
Lady Hawk is what I was gonna say. Oh, I honestly, I'm a mama's boy. It will always be the Friday the 13th movies, but Freddy always gave me my first nightmare.
And your wet dream. That's amazing. I like when they can kill two birds with one stone.
I mean, they're one and the same. It's kind of redundant to say wet dream, you know, whatever, like nightmare. It's all the same. It's fine.
Derek, your name is Derek for now, per chat. He says, Derek Tate is not my real name. It's your real name now, buddy. Because little JoJo here, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any friends that aren't named like Trash Cat or Panda Pie or Bush Bleach. Except for me. But that's because I'm special.
Oh, weren't you? I thought you were the bleached bush or whatever.
That takes effort, man.
Yeah.
Just let it ride is what I say. It's like Naomi on Waiting, with like the lint and all the creatures in it. We're already here, 10 minutes in. We might as well keep going with it.
Yeah. I mean,
do you want to talk about your bush before we get into the movies?
What bush?
Anal bush.
Oh, well, it's very firm. It's there's a small Ugandan village in there right now. I hate to disturb them, but
Philanthropic.
you know, we try. We're givers here in the dojo. And let it be known that Jay White, the Pants Ninja, is a giver.
Well, I want to, I think we should reserve our ratings for the last bit, because I would like to, obviously chat through it, chew on it a little bit, and see how you feel about it. But okay, so FYI, we've already said it, but Scream 2022, guys, we're doing spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, mute us and look at our beautiful faces. That's what we got for you. Joseph Pants Ninja is not wearing pants, so if you need to see his undercarriage distract you, we'll do that for $20. Anything, absolutely anything for $20. Also, you can send him monies now, and he's definitely going to post a link to that, so you should send him monies because he's beautiful and wonderful and probably the best person ever.
Lately, I think you should go over to Twitch. That's what I think, guys. Come hang out with me over there sometimes.
Yeah, affiliate boy here.
Yeah, you know. I got a shout out. That was thanks to my friends with weird names. You know, the Metal Bush and Grandma's Basket. I want to thank those guys.
Treasure.
They're not real names. Oh. But he'll give you anything for $20. I know. Yeah, Thrasher King actually gave me $20 for some artwork before. It was pretty fun.
Yes.
So anyways.
I think that well, when did you went to see Scream in the theater? We're talking 2022 first. So when did you go see it? And what was your...
You want to start with that?
What was your expectation?
Oh, we're starting with that. Okay.
You should, yeah.
Right,
Not a rating, but what was your expectation going in? Were you like lukewarm? Were you excited? Were you ready to be disappointed?
Well, who interviews who? I like this. Well, let's think about this for a minute. Like, went and saw it yesterday, so it's still somewhat fresh. I was excited that... Okay, the trailers. Let me tell you about that. That's what really got me to want to see this in the first place. Yeah. And it's not very often a trailer catches enough of my attention to want to go see a movie, you know, in a theater. And I was telling you before, but the last movie I saw in the theater was like Deadpool 2, so it was much overdue that I need to go see something. And it's Scream, right? Like, I like Scream. I saw the original, I think, and maybe the third one in the theater when they were first out. I'm pretty sure. So seeing like some of the older characters back in this one was like, okay, yeah, let's take a look. And then rumors on the internet, you know how they go. They kind of catch your attention. I wanted to separate fact from fiction, and I had an opportunity to see it. So my expectations were should be fun at least, right? I would hope. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Did you after Scream 4, did that kind of elevate or numb or maybe just neutralize the effect of seeing the new one? Did it have any effect or bearing at all on seeing the newest?
I vaguely remember 4, honestly. The first 3 are the ones that like are prominent in my mind. Cool. So I was trying to get a refresher on 4. Oh, hey, shout out to Bud Scarlatti, Halloweenverse, those guys. What's going on, Bud? Good to see you, man. Says, hey, howdy, good luck. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
But Like I really didn't like Scream franchise. I was explaining this to my friend yesterday. I have like a top 10 list of like some of my favorites. Right, Scream is probably somewhere in the mid range, like maybe 4 or 5. I'd give it out of the whole top 10. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it was starting with like Freddy, Jason, or Jason and Freddy, and even Leatherface, Michael, and then I'd say Ghostface in that area. You know.
Yeah.
But I like the idea. The first one was whatever, and I think seeing that and hearing that it was kind of a. I heard this beforehand, like it was going to be like almost a remake of the first one, but not quite. And they get into that, right? Like we can talk about that then.
Right.
So I think that's what really peaked it for me was just the bit of nostalgia and the connecting the first to the fifth. I like that, like more heavily connected. I feel like than some of the other ones were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
What about you though? What were your expectations going in?
Well, I love the franchise.
It's one of your favorites, right?
I think it was rough. Yeah, I got my stab shirt on, one of many. I think okay, so I didn't want to really watch the trailers. I was gonna see it no matter what. And I want to kind of like circle back and compare this with the recent Halloween redos and everything as well. But
sure.
My expectations going in were fairly neutral. Of course, I want to like it. I want to love it. But I did not expect to love it. I didn't really expect to like it. I'm just like, as long as it doesn't suck. Like, don't shit on our legacy characters. Do something interesting. I want the new characters to actually be memorable, which I know that most new franchises, how many times can you see something in a new franchise, whether it be something kind of seedier like Phantasm or something bigger like Halloween? How many of those new characters do you remember? Do people talk about for more than a week? Like, do they have substance? Are they written well? Is there like actually anything to ruminate on with like their backstories? Do they have backstories? Like that all matters, and that helped build a legacy in itself for a movie, for a franchise. But yeah, I went to see it. So I don't do night movies, so I went to see it on Friday, on the 14th. So 14th, 15th. But yeah, I went to see it that day, and there were actually a lot of people in the theater, which was nice to see, because it's been a while since I've actually seen a crowd. I've only seen maybe like 2 crowds in the last like year or so that were there for a movie. But first impression, better for sure than the trailers that I could not avoid being on film Twitter, of course. And of course, I follow every single thing that has to do with Ghostface or Scream or people that are obsessed with it. So I'm going to see stuff. So I just kind of gave in, and I was like, all right, well, I know what all the alternate scripts were and all of the alleged rewrites. And I know everything that they were saying, might happen, could happen. I had my own expectations to subvert. So I went into the theater pretty neutral, and I came out rather impressed. So I'm excited to talk about it for sure.
Well,
I feel like we are back truly mentally and collectively in Woodsboro, which feels good. Like it feels like a nice, warm, comfy blanket. And that's what I had missed so much, because I feel like as much as I've come around to 4, it never felt canon to me. And I've learned to appreciate it, but anybody that knows me can tell you for the first half a decade after Scream 4, I hated it. And I loved the Scream. I love 1, 2, and 3, and they kind of always changed their places with me, but I was a little sour and a little bit of a purist. I wanted it to be a trilogy. And then when I came around to it, I'm like, okay, this has a place, but even though it's Wes, it still to me does not, it's not sullied by this new one, but it still does not feel canon. It doesn't have that same feel. He went like darker hued, almost like that late 70s, early 80s blue hue. It doesn't have that same bright, crisp, but naturalistic look that you see in 1, 2, and 3. And it gets a little darker in 3, but yeah, just it has a different feel. And Wes himself didn't have a specific feel. I mean, for anybody that knows his whole filmography, he doesn't have necessarily a dynamic style. I say that a lot, and that's not to say he's a bad director. He seemed like a wonderful man, and I love tons of his movies, but you can't look at a Craven movie, in my opinion, and be like, this is a Craven movie.
Right.
It's just like, you know, you can love it, be like, this is a Craven movie, but he didn't have a specific style that you can watch and be like, that's a Craven shot. Like, he had some definitely signature shots, but I'm not sure that most of them were really achieved with purpose more than he had luck of the hand and it worked, which is fine. But this definitely felt canon for me, felt comfortable, and there was a lot of tension, which I don't feel like I really had. For me, I don't remember feeling any tension with 4. Watching it now, because I know it all, obviously, I'm like, oh, maybe this kind of made me nervous, but the stakes were just not there in 4. Like, the stakes were lowered, you know, down, like 2 pretty high, 3 in some ways were higher than 2 to me, but also kind of floundered. And then 4 to me just didn't ever feel high risk. And this one seems like it brought the risk back and actually gave me some nervousness, and like they played with us as an audience, and I love that. So
I like that, the fact that you said that, like it gave us like a little bit of that tense feeling again. And the regarding the shots, the color and the hues and everything, like I definitely, like, it felt like you described it perfectly, like a warm blanket, like walking into that, watching that. And I recently, like just before this show, I was telling you, but I watched the first one to try to get that, you know what I mean, get a little feel for both of them again. And spot on, like I agree with everything you just said pretty much, you know. Beautiful.
I see you guys in chat. There's Bud said Scream 4 had a soft kind of washed out look. Yeah, it's like, and Corduroy says the Barbara Walters filter. Yeah, it was a strange choice. But you know, I mean, it's like, to be honest, like I think that 4 reminded me the most of Deadly Blessing, if we're doing Craven references, because it was just such a washed out, made for TV kind of feel, but you could tell it's big budget. And
hold on, Deadly Blessings?
Strange.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh yeah, you know what? You have to watch it now.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's very fucking weird. One of the kills from Gifts for sure. But nobody say anything and just let him watch Deadly Blessing and be surprised by a random. We'll say above the shoulders death. We won't mention the object. But yeah.
Right. Let me see. I'm gonna look this up, but continue, please.
I think it was last streaming on Tubi, but I rewatched it like in the spring of last year.
It's on Tubi.
And it is, yeah, at it.
Oh boy.
It's
oh
so
man.
Weird. It's so weird. But yeah, so I think that's cool. What did you think about, okay, so start out weeding it out a little bit. So we got our legacy characters back. We got back Dewey, we got back Gale, we got back Sydney, and then our newest legacy character, Deputy Judy Hicks. Get her back. What did you think in the beginning about just generally, what did you think of the tone of each? Do you think it was fitting? The growth was natural and how they presented them?
Well, first, before I get into that, let me shout out Sir Adamantine, Easy. Good to see you guys. Welcome.
Hey.
They're screaming pants. I gotta say hey.
Pants.
Bud, I want to get on some of what Bud's saying here in a few minutes too. I'm reading that, Bud, and I think you and me ought to have a conversation too at some point. So regarding character development regarding the legacy characters, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And this one, what do you feel? How did you feel about them? Like just how they felt coming back. Do you think that it was a natural tone? Do you think anything was forced?
Well, I'm gonna start with Dewey. Because Dewey's my boy. Like, he's been one of my favorites in the franchise. Just because, his feel. I feel like that was a pretty stereotypical place for him to be. You know what I mean? But then again, the entire movie seemed to me like it was nothing but stereotypes and plays on everything. You know? But separate that back to the characters. It makes sense, especially after, we see Gale succeeding in New York, doing her thing still, and that I expected that. Like that's her character, she's pushing, not gonna work or whatever. It's gonna be work, right? But then you get to the backstory of those two. We'll get that, I guess, in a few. See it, the kids, the husband, whatever. Like That seemed like she would be moving that direction. Like it fit to me. I didn't see like any major issues regarding where they are now and how they grew through the series. You know, it seemed like those three were written pretty, you know, stereotypical harsh stuff, but well enough. You know.
And you said, well, 4 isn't fresh in your head, so you probably don't remember the personality traits of Judy. Yeah, okay. Well, she's very aggressive, very flirtatious with Dewey in the 4th, and you know, it's always, you know, it's that like ongoing will they, won't they, back and forth with them, which I find kind of comical too, considering that Courtney obviously came to notoriety from Friends, and that was another link in with the will they, won't they, Rachel Ross thing. It's kind of their Rachel Ross for horror.
Right.
But I love the direction they took with Judy. It was so smart. She isn't abrasive anymore. She seems like she's like calmed her tits down. She's more focused on her job. She's not as green, even though it didn't seem that she was young per se. She kind of had more of the brown noser, perfectionist little Susie Homemaker vibe to her for sure. And in this one, we find out that she has a kid named Wes, and Dylan Minnette, which I was really happy to see him because I love Don't Breathe. He's in the Goosebumps movie, and he's in 13 Reasons Why, which I also watched. A lot of people watched that one, but I like that his character was Wes. But just their relationship felt very good, and it seemed that she was just focused on her job and her kid, and she's over the bullshit. She's not like chasing Dewey or to piss off Gail or whatever the real reason was there 10 years plus later, you know. Gail made sense to me because she's always ambitious and career driven, so it's nice to see them continue to allow her to have that path of it not being forced, but she's very career driven, and she's not necessarily going to stay behind for Dewey. But at the same time, I think that there's like this mutual respect that's finally put into place in this one for each other of this is our path. Let's not really be that. Obviously, I don't know that Dewey's like necessarily sad and depressed about it. We see him as, like you said, kind of stereotypical. He's washed up, retired cop. He's drinking. His place is a wreck, whatever. Let's be honest, it's a lot of single guys, whether they're alcoholics or not, or they're lovelorn. It doesn't really matter. But the guy's got a lot of injuries at this point. I mean, their organs are like basically all in chronic failure all the time, right? So like, I'd probably be drinking too. It seems she's got more money to deal with it than him. So yeah, I guess, you know, drinking is the Band-Aid for him. I don't really know that it's in reference to her per se, or if it was even, I didn't feel like he was guilting her for being successful, and I didn't feel like she felt like she was leaving much behind, but there was like a mutual understanding and love there, which is kind of sweet too, because of the real life relationship. I think that's cool, and maybe they could draw from that, you know.
I feel like they did a little bit.
Yeah, and plus he's had addiction issues, so that's probably something that was useful for that, and probably knowing how that would be portrayed. So and then with Sydney, I don't know. I won't go too deep into that, but as a fellow trauma survivor, I find it very hard to believe that although you might want the all-American family route, that it would really be. I think and I'm not meaning that it's not possible to be, quote, smart, but I don't know that with her record that's safe, not necessarily smart, but safe. Like, you know, you're always going to be a target, but like, you see her pushing a stroller, that kind of threw me. I didn't want that. I thought, because we didn't see that in the trailer, we didn't really need to. I didn't even think she's jogging or she's at a park or whatever. But yeah, she's pushing a stroller. You don't see kids. It's either heavily hinted at that she mentions Mark from Scream 3, but I think that I don't know that part's believable for me. It wasn't enough to throw me, but if that were me, I'm not bringing kids into the world that might be killed. I'm not going to, and I know that's kind of like, you know, pausing your life, which again, I'm back and forth because for me, I think that her shining moment for me was in Scream 3. I love the end scene of her opening the gate, her leaving the door unlocked, showing her closure, and her character arc came full circle for me there. Kind of wanted to stop there in my head. Like 4 didn't, probably why it didn't feel canon to me, because it's ultimately about Sydney. So, okay, we bring her back, we force her to go through some shit, but it doesn't really feel like high stakes because you saw her grow, come full circle, and kind of find her peace. And it didn't really seem like her peace was wrecked, you know? Like in 5, it's like, I guess we'll do this again. And I think that she acted well and that she handled it well, but I think for her character, I think she would have changed her name. I think that she would have changed her name. I think she would have been off the map for everybody because she's so hyper protective typically of everyone. And I don't know that I'm a fighter thing would still stand at her age with what she's trying to procure for herself and her happiness and her peace. So yeah, long-winded way of saying. I think that I don't think it could have used, I don't know that I would say that it could use improvement per se. That's just, that's a harder story for me to buy than her being forever single or casually dating and moving maybe from guy to guy, but not having that set in stone white picket fence. So
I think that once again, it kind of breaks a wall by allowing us to realize that this is a movie. You know what I mean? Thoughts like, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of that in this newer one as well. Like, what the
I'm checking comments.
Oh, you're good. I was gonna hit them up too. Shout out.
Bud said Scream 5 was much better for me on the second viewing. I stand my argument. There's no such thing as a bad Scream movie. I agree. Derek said the same. Yes, I did like Dewey's theme being brought back for sure. I guess that yeah, there wasn't a lot of nuance. You're right there. I think that it's the Dewey's theme for sure, and then I don't know. Do you want to get into the new characters so we can start with, since we already talked about some music that kind of goes along. We got some Nick Cave back. We got some Red Right Hand, which gave me actual chills. I was like, fuck yes, yes. I was so excited and nerding out. And honestly, the whole theater, I'm like, there were some old people there, and I'm like, well, they could know, but they definitely don't listen to Nick Cave, right? And then there was the most annoying, like, 18-year-olds ever next to me, and I'm like, I know your ass doesn't know who Nick Cave is, so this means nothing to you, and that made me sad. But man, I heard that, and you get
you gotta feel, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's all about a vibe with these, I feel like. And I feel like each one sets a certain tone, certain vibe. Like you were mentioning with the going into 3, how that closure hit. That was a big point for me seeing that in the theater. I was like, it can end here. This is good, you know? But
and man, starting off, so we get Red Right Hand, Kyle Gallner is the guy that plays say Vince. Hold on. Yeah, okay, Vince. All right, I was right on that one. I'm not gonna get all the names right, guys. Sorry. But we hear Red Right Hand playing, and that's awesome. But Kyle Gallner famously kind of gets, I mean, he's been in a lot of shitty stuff. Poor guy. He seems like he has like some chops to be in good horror movies, but he's been in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well,
he gets chowed on in Jennifer's Body. I mean, I don't know, like an American Haunting. Is it Haunting?
I'm just gonna stand by and say Nightmare was not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I said it. Moving on.
Yeah, I just don't know. That's probably the biggest thing that he's been a part of, though. I don't know if you want that at the top of your resume.
I wouldn't say. I mean, it's better than nothing. You know? There's a lot of those. Sup, Rock Pit? I see you, brother. Good to see you. I was just checking the chat real quick. Scream 4 to Soft kind of washed out, like you were saying about that. Yeah. See, you caught all these. Look at you. Being the best host ever. I like it. Okay, so so the music definitely set the tone, set the feel. I feel like it brought us back to that first movie, and I feel like a lot of this movie brought us back to that first one, and you know, playing on itself. So we want to talk about the characters. Do you have a favorite, least favorite? Where's your ranking for characters here?
I was gonna send you this little BuzzFeed quiz of which new character are you.
Do it.
And I got the one that I was like, really? So I got Liv, and I was like, not at all. But so our new characters are Tara and Sam Carpenter. Our movie's gonna open with Tara as our cold intro, parroting Drew Barrymore's Casey Becker moment at the beginning of 1996's, and playing with the knife, answering the phone, except this time, obviously, we have some new tech in there for modern day. We have the Bluetooth alarm system versus having to manually arm everything.
That's a point I wanted to bring up, too, was the technological advances and how they play a part in this so much more. You know what I mean?
In a good way, though. Like, if I don't know how you felt about 2019's Child's Play, but I mean, it didn't work for me there. And it wasn't like, I'm also not obsessed with the franchise either. But that being said, if we take away all of our emotions for it, I just feel like it was so forced because it had to be for what they were doing. But this is just like, all right, this is how we live. So maybe in 10 years, it'll be like, oh, old tech alert, you know? But like now, I mean, you can look at the cordless VTech phone that she's on in the first one and it's not a big deal. You're like, yeah, I mean, it's a 90s phone. Like it's not dating it or taking you out of the movie. It's putting you in the time frame the movie was in. But I think they did, for the most part, they didn't use a lot of trendy euphemisms, which I always prefer. They didn't use a lot of like it language. That's important to me because it ages better. If you do too many things that are too like spicy and on point, then it's gonna age like shit. And people that watch it down the road that might not have seen it now, or they might wait to see it 3 years, which would be a tragedy. But you're gonna be like, oh, that's weird. Remember that happened because we never know what's gonna last, right?
Well,
so
fair point.
We have Tara Carpenter because
let me pull up the list here.
Love that, with Wes always dropping his Easter eggs and paying homage to other directors and horror actors. That's cool. So Tara Carpenter, as mentioned before, Deputy Judy Hicks' son is Wes, which we don't know right away, but we find out pretty soon. Our new star is Sam Carpenter, the older sister of Tara in the beginning. Brother, sister, Chad and Mindy Meeks, because we get Martha Meeks back, Brandy's sister. And she's the little Susie Homemaker mom. They have like a shrine to Randy up for the fan service there. I'm really glad they didn't try to retcon him because it's weird. Liv, our pink-haired girl, easy to remember her just because of the pink hair. I don't feel like they really fleshed her out very much, but that was okay to me. Pretty much all of these characters felt they felt lived in. They felt like real people compared to other franchises like our Halloweens. Whether you liked Halloween 2018 or not, or Halloween Kills, I would really love for anybody to debate me on the fact and say on a fact-based in that those characters are lived in or relatable or somebody you want to hang out with or somebody that you used to be in high school or whatever. They're not believable, they're not memorable, even if they are believable, or they're just annoying and they're cannon fodder, which is fine if that's what you want your franchise to be, but that's why I'm a Scream fan, because Scream has heart and it's rooted in things, and that was what Wes was good at, is rooting things, even when they're absolutely ridiculous, like Deadly Blessing, in actual fears and phobias and tragedy of all sorts. So those risks and stakes do feel higher and more elevated.
I can agree. Listen, I can agree with a lot of those points. I can. I just want to interrupt real quick. Mike, good? Pete, they were saying my mic was fucked up.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, we're good? Okay.
And then we have two more. We have Kirsch, which is the boyfriend of Sam.
Right.
And then Amber. This is all like our little friend clique. And yeah, that's pretty much it for any of the need to knows on the new people. Everybody else is kind of disposable, and they're not in it for long, or they're just good extras, I guess. But
yeah, I don't know, like, well, anyways, favorite character though.
Favorite?
About
I really liked Mindy, the
Mindy.
sister. Mindy
Okay.
Meek. Yeah. I think that, well, she's sassy. And this is where I think they did it right too, is like everything wasn't like being drowned in trendy language, like I said, or like how we're supposed to, I guess, pivot culturally to speak a certain way. So with her, like, I like how matter of fact she is. And yes, she is one of the movie know-it-alls and everything. And she's quippy, but she's not abrasive. And um, I love the little scene on the couch of I'm probably gonna make out with her, and they don't make it like get it. It's a girl. She's gonna kiss a girl. Isn't that crazy? Like other franchises just can't handle like it's okay. Like they're just gonna make out. It's fine. Like it's not a big deal, and then it's just brushed past, and nobody's like, oh my god, like boner alert. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
normal because it is normal. It's not forced, and they didn't. It didn't feel like they had to hit a quota for everything of every there's a fully diverse cast without them having to point out that everything is diverse because it's actually well written because Kevin Williamson was looking at it too. They were smart. So
I think you nailed it on the head when you said it felt normal. It didn't feel forced. The whole entire movie, I feel like, had that feeling. It was a nice, well written, well acted, in fact, for a horror movie. You know, I know most people don't consider horror the finer points of cinema, but those people aren't here, right?
a loss.
Exactly. I'm just gonna say Dewey still was one of my favorite characters. I don't care. But legacy aside, I can't say that I totally
Were we
was.
supposed to pick a legacy character? I thought we were picking new.
Well, I was just saying legacy aside because I had to shout out Dewey again because we know why. uh, I want to say I was hard because I liked a couple characters here, but if I had to pick a top one, I'd say I kind of liked Sam. I think
I do
that's the
too,
one I'm
and a
going
lot
with.
of people are really shitting on her, and
She did great. Like,
I think it was fine.
yeah, I like the little spoilers. I like the flashbacks of the whole, in the mirrors and all that stuff with Billy.
Yeah, we can talk about that. What do you think about that? So they bring back, she has psychosis from being the essentially bastard child of Skeet Ulrich's character, Billy Loomis. So she's a baby Billy Loomis. So she has to basically sift through, if you believe in the notion of genetic trauma or hereditary trauma and actuality, while she's also medicated. And anybody that's taken medication, which most people have, know that that shit takes a while to stabilize if it ever does. So is the medication, is it her? Is it what she thinks that she should be feeling? Like, I don't know. But Billy Loomis comes back with Skeet and some CGI doing some de-aging, and she has moments, like you said, of flashes of seeing him. And I guess you could either go supernatural or as Corduroy was talking to me about before, could be like psychoactive from the meds. It really could go either way. Maybe it's a mix of everything, but I think it's smart. I think that I've seen a lot of people say she's acting wooden, and I'm curious because I'm not familiar with Melissa Barrera that plays her. But I'm kind of curious if she had braces freshly taken off of her before the movie, because how she holds her lips is like somebody that got fresh filler or just lost their braces. Because the way she speaks is the way exactly how I spoke when I had my braces taken off, because you're used to your lips like kind of sticking out more. So I think that that's what they're talking about, because I don't think the performance itself, she didn't seem intimidated. She didn't seem nervous in front of the camera.
It was well done. Yeah, the psychosis aspects. Like I didn't know what was going on when I first saw that. I was like, what? And I know the medication. Put two and two together.
Yeah. And then the little sister and Jenna Ortega. You don't watch You, right? Series on Netflix.
I have not yet.
It's a shame, Joe. Anyway, she's in the second season of You with Penn Badgley. And so I already knew her from that. I don't know her from anything else. But she hadn't really aged. She still looked about the same age. She's believable for her age. I like that they cast people, even though they were not like typical 90s teenagers of I look 30 and I'm playing 18. Like most of them look age appropriate, even if they are older. Like I think Dylan Minnette's like mid-20s and he's playing that, but he looks that age. Like he doesn't look older. So that was cool. But man, yeah, I think I am really impressed with the Tara character. And man, I think Dewey has a run for his money on somebody taking a beating to the organs, because this girl just gets fucked up the whole fucking movie.
No kidding.
Man, she gets fucked up. And what amazing, like, that's the little things, right? So let's see.
Let's talk about that a second, though, before we get too far. Okay? It's funny you brought up Dewey, because I feel like I already heard there's a sequel already planned out, or it's like approved, whatever, right?
Kind of hope not, but yeah.
Well, that's what I heard. That's the rumor. If they do continue it, I wonder if they're going to try to fill the roles of these characters, you know, like, oh, she's going to be the next Dewey, she's going to be the next Sydney, whatever, right? Or is that just a play, like, because I feel like that movie gave me that vibe, like they're setting it up for a sequel, and you know they're setting up for a sequel, and you know who's going to be in what role. That was a big point of the movie, too, when they were discussing, you know, the horror cliches. Which, once again, Meeks, let's get into all that, right? The Meeks. Randy's niece there, right? You were talking about her a minute ago.
Well, the Randy shrine reminded me of the shrine that you have of me. Like, it was the same thing. Like, my 50-foot face, and then all of the, like, spare socks that you steal when I'm sleeping. And I don't even wear socks, so that's weird in itself. And why are there jars of Spam around? It's strange, but whatever.
Well, this is funny because that's called deflection. Now, we all know it's a shrine to me in your house. It's fine.
Did you notice anything about the house? When you first see the Meeks house, did you notice anything about it? Before it was shoved in your face and obvious? We'll get to that in just a moment.
When I first saw it, I'm like, this looks familiar. That's the first thing I thought.
Right.
Like, I'm like, this looks familiar. And then the scene with the couch, when she's laying there watching the movie.
Well, not Amber's house. Let's just say Amber's house, not the Meeks house. But yeah, I think that I don't know. It was like I was like, there were so many little objects. I didn't even go back and watch it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure, and I haven't been able. I didn't want to do it before we talk tonight, so I'm probably gonna do it tomorrow. But I need to Google. There's a couple objects on the mantle. I'm pretty sure are from the living room party in the first, but I have to go back and double check because I'm just used to looking for like little things. I'm like, I know they said save that shit from set dressing.
I feel like I missed something monumental here.
I don't know that it's that important. I think it's fan service done right.
Okay.
I mean, like, hopefully you can tell. Like, I'm proud, man. I tweeted about it afterward, and I was like, I'm getting a review, so I can't really talk about it. And then I did a soft review, so it's fine now. But this is fan service done right. This is not forced. There is still heart there. And there is just, like, it's still a pumping heart. This isn't like constantly trying to revive a corpse, which is what we do every time we revisit Myers. With Halloween specifically, I'm using this one the most because it is the most recent, because obviously we have all the hype around, you know, kills coming back and everything.
Right.
And a huge thing too, and why that matters so much, of having a pumping organ versus an actual decaying corpse that we're just keeping alive in some weird supernatural way, not only via having new killers to embody Ghostface every time, but killer or killers. And but again, investment in characters. And when, again, like, do you care? Like, we're talking about, like, especially people are like, the brutality of Halloween Kills, I didn't think it was that brutal, but whatever. But it's brutal. It's more brutal in this fifth installment of Scream because you have investment with characters. Who gives a shit if a random fireman you don't know gets a pitchfork through the chest? As a horror fan, yes, as a human being, we should. But we're watching this as art. We're not thinking this is real. Of, oh, we deserve compassion in this moment. That's not what they're going for. They're like, oh, look, blood, see? But then, for example, if we go back to, I think we lost you.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm messing with the setting real quick. Sorry.
like if we're going back, so we don't have that investment in the very beginning with Tara, who's the first one to get fucked up in the cold open, which I might add as well, our first intro character to not get fucking killed. That's
Yeah, how
cool.
about that?
I like that they changed that. That's fucking awesome. And not only that, but spoiler again, we get to keep her throughout the movie. She's gonna live. And so we're changing up that system, but they're still playing it very, very safe in this movie. But I think that was really smart. I think it was smart to play it so close to the formula and not subvert too many expectations, because when you do that, you're going to have more polarity in your audience, and that's going to limit who's going to come back with enthusiasm and who's going to come back because they feel obligated.
Right. So
Judy Hicks changing, and seeing her character and her being the mom of Wes, and this is such a Wesism that I was so proud, because that is just like how he directed, and he created compassion between characters in his movies. There's this little like just dialogue between Judy and Wes, mother and son, where she's talking about like, I'm gonna go get you sushi because I know that you like this and you don't like this, and it felt organic and natural, and it was a normal conversation. It wasn't anything like overhyped or overblown or whatever, and it is broad daylight out. So she's going to get the food, fine, broad daylight. He's going through the refrigerators and fucking around, and every single time they do the pump fake of this is going to be a jump scare. A door opens and it closes. We all know it. And then there's not one. And then there's not one. And then there's not one. And you're like, all right, fucking, again, you're playing with us. But it felt good. Like, it wasn't super annoying.
I was slightly okay, all right, I get it. All right, guys. I kept saying that in my head.
Yeah.
Big point, because he's grabbing, he's like, let's open this and get, we want sriracha, and then the door closes, nothing. You know what I mean? Like, really?
Chat.
I'm gonna keep an eye on chat. Mad Metal Man is here. What's going on, brother?
I didn't see the employee tag, bud. I'm gonna go back and make sure, and I'll admit if I was wrong or not. But there's a couple little statues and figurines. One that's around the TV, and the first one that I was talking about on the mantle. I was just seeing Bud's comment.
Oh, Bud has a lot of stuff here about the Easter eggs. I want to say that.
I haven't looked anything up on it, so I was waiting until after we talked, because I was gonna see and then I'll probably be like, damn, I forgot to talk about that. But so they have this conversation. She's going to get sushi for him, and he's setting up everything. He's setting the table. Clearly, I mean, they have a good little relationship going on here. He needs to take a shower or whatever. And there's so many cliche things that happen, but a big reason I said Wes is smiling, because it's something how Wes would handle things, that they could be the most cliche things, and somehow he found a way to make it work. And so she's going to get food. He goes to take a shower. He puts his phone on vibrate or whatever, of course, while he's in the shower. And meanwhile, we get the call to Judy from Ghostface saying, basically, I'm going to kill your son. Even if you turn around right now, you won't make it in time. And she just left. So it's like, come on. Like, I was thinking, I'm like, I mean, really though, I mean, it's not even 10 minutes, like round trip what she just drove, because it seemed like it was real time, right?
It did.
So she U-turns and goes back, and of course you're getting all the fake outs for him in the house, thinking he's gonna get it first. She's gonna come and find him, and then she's gonna go through the rest of the movie, probably with the other legacies, and we're gonna get our Ghostbusters, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
No.
It's another one on the list.
What happens? Pansy?
I don't know what happens.
Rip. So what happens? He's in the shower.
Oh, I know what happens. Like, yeah, okay. So shower, phone call, suspense. I'm not trying to spoil too much, but I'll give a little bit, you know. I do feel like some of these people that haven't seen it yet really need to experience this without too much, but you're never going to get there in time. She's just that U-turn and that flip with the lights, first off. Okay, that felt like, yep, that's what a mom would do. You know what I mean? Like, that was like, yeah, fuck you guys. Sheriff or not, boom. I felt that. Right. I felt like that mom instinct kick in, right? Mm-hmm. And then she's running up, and then surprise. You know?
We have to talk about that. We have to talk about a couple of the deaths, because that is a big point I want to make with Halloween.
Okay. Well,
about the brutality. So
it was a pretty standard stab for me. Like, I don't feel like it's as brutal as something Halloween did, but
I don't mean that.
What do you mean? All right.
Are we not? Are we not talking? We can't talk deaths.
You can talk
here?
deaths. Yeah, whatever.
Okay. So he didn't lie. Ghostface says you won't make it back in time to save him. And what he means is instead of him being in the house and killing Wes, the son already, Ghostface is outside and stabs her in broad daylight in suburbia. And just a cold stabbing. It's not that it was brutal, it's that I expected Judy to die from the beginning. I didn't think she was going to come back for another movie, but I like the boldness of it. I like the fact that, like, not only that, but you see not only like a normal fear of her being stabbed and probably pain, but she realized that he delivered. Like, she doesn't know if her kid's dead or alive in the house right now, and regardless, it's not going to matter. So she's gone, broad daylight.
You could sense the fear. I'll give you that for sure.
That matters, because it didn't even need to be more graphic. That was probably that was the calmest kill in the whole movie. But it was, to me, one of the most impactful.
I will say the fact that you touched on the broad daylight aspects, right in the middle of the day, out of nowhere, boom. That was like unheard of for most cliche horrors. You know, you're thinking nighttime, dimly lit, it's whatever most of the time. But yeah, that gives you a feel like this could happen. Like, you know, I get that. I get how they're playing on the emotions and the aspects. And Metal Man says, "Yo pants, yo HHQ," and there's a lot of chatter in the chat. I've been trying to keep up on them guys too.
Hello.
They're loving it. So I'll talk about the Force Ghosts at some point at the end there, but let's get to this. So yeah, and then runs back in. You know, we end up with the son getting out of the shower. Another jump scare when he's going to the bedroom. You think something's gonna pop out, and then if you want to get into that stuff, feel free.
Oh yeah, so the son is basically waiting for his mom to come back. He set the table, he showered, ready to have a meal with his mom. Meanwhile, this whole scenario just goes down with Judy outside. She's KO'd. He has no idea. He goes to check the door. She'd mentioned something about the door. He looks like he's gonna go check the door, and he's like, nah. And then he kind of backs up from it. Basically, when he turns around, Ghostface is right there.
Right.
And I think that it's evident that there was, I did look a little bit into it afterward, not too much, but I think the CGI mixed with the practical looked pretty good in this, because we know Skeet Ulrich so well. We know that is the de-aging CGI for him, obviously trying to make him look younger. To me, he just looked like an older version of himself. I don't think he really looked young, but I didn't care. But yeah,
no, I feel that.
With Wes, you get our first, our second brutal kill. Because we know pretty much from the jump, Tara's alive, so she's not killed. We get Vince at the beginning, and that one's gnarly. And then Judy's is calm, but it's the most brazen. And then we get the son, and he stabs him, forces it right through the side of his neck.
Can we talk about that effect?
Skimming that artery and just slowly, brutally driving it in. And
I felt that. I literally felt that watching that.
How did you I thought literally about the dichotomy of she knows that her kid's inside. She doesn't know if he's dead or not. He doesn't know his mom's been killed outside. They're on either side of the door, two totally minutes apart, nevertheless, but minutes apart, showing how important that tiny little time frame is, that I was not at all I'm this is no big deal. I drive a V8. I can make it back. She's got a police cruiser. She's got one too. I know how quickly I can get home. So it's but it's that point of literally 3 or 4 minutes between them of their entire paradigm shifting, and neither one having a full idea of what the fuck this means, but not exactly what per se. And then him thinking everything's fine and just having more of a jolt. So for him, I guess that's obviously a much easier death for him, but it was the more brutal one, I think, because they've shown more visceral deaths in Scream when you're less attached to the characters. When they're not as important, they usually get it the worst way. And that's been true throughout the franchise.
That's a good point that I never really thought too deeply on. I just look at kills as kills.
I don't think I really paid attention until 4, to be honest, because of
well, that makes sense with the first one.
How Jill's mom gets it in 4, which you haven't seen it recently, but just to me, that was one of the more brutal ones in 4. But yeah, it's always somebody that you don't know super well or you don't really care about. You're not invested. So
Well, that, like I said, that was the first one with the football player boyfriend. That was the first one you saw, that gutting, that, and then you just see everything just laying there, and then
right,
Drew Barrymore's death. You know,
Steve.
they were pretty. They were rather brutal. So that's a good point. You know, way to start. And it's funny how, not to get off the death for a sec, but how the beginning of this one started versus once again the first one. Like that was just, I felt like, yeah, okay, so they're trying to do something a little different here, but they're still playing on itself, tongue in cheek all day with this movie. Love it. You know.
I don't think anything else. I think we can kind of like skim through the other stuff. We have cat and mouse with many characters. Really, it goes back to the idea of another house party, because shit's going down in Woodsboro again. So we're gonna bring you back to the first feeling of let's do a house party, and that house looks really familiar when you're in it. And we're at Amber's house, so she's one of our new characters. And they're kind of doing the Randy bit. They're going back and forth talking about the rules of horror, how they've changed, how this is a requel. It's not quite a reboot. It's not quite a sequel. Doing a very Craven-esque thing of creating new lingo, or at least trying to. And not that hasn't been used before, it has, but obviously they're really trying to drive that home in this one. I know a lot of people have mentioned, like, there's quite a few mentions, especially, which is what they're trying to make into a quote of talking about the Babadook with Tara's character, but talking about elevated horror and it annoying them of how much they were saying elevated horror. I'm like, well, every movie we've talked about, that's the whole point of the metaverse, of them being super tropey and making fun of it on its nose. And it is annoying. You're an elevated horror. It is annoying because it's become like a blanket statement at this point of like almost like a film snobbery of, I think what most people mean when they say that is cerebral horror, like our A24s, which I love. But, and now it's just become everything, like all the assholes on Twitter of, that's not horror. Predator's not horror. Jaws isn't horror. Shut the fuck up. Like, stay out of, you can think whatever you want to think. That's the beautiful thing of all this. But like the fact that your day is going to be ruined because you don't agree with the fact that this has elements of whatever, and it would be silly. That would be like saying Predator isn't also an action movie. Like, it can be many things. You don't have to just be one thing. But that blanket term of everything of this is just elevated horror. I thought it was actually funny. I don't think that it was annoying. But apparently I'm in the minority there.
Well, I'll just say that, and it's funny that, like I said, that movie plays off itself with those tropes you mentioned. Definitely, I'm trying to, there's so many thoughts that were in my head while you were talking. I'm like, I don't know which one to start with. So we can talk about, well, let's get back to the house. Okay, you were talking about the house before. If there's some Easter eggs, I missed them because I was just too focused on trying to pay attention on the who's and the what's,
Yeah.
Definitely feel like I need to rewatch to catch that, but that house though, yeah, I feel like you were gonna say something about the house specifically.
Well, Amber's house where we're having the party, it
Right.
looks familiar, it feels familiar and everything. Fast forwarding to eventually we're gonna find out that's the original. That's Stu Macher's house from 1996's. So I realized, the first thing that made me think of it, and I was like, wait a minute, was when, so Amber, who lives in the house now, goes, we don't know this at the time, but Amber goes down to the basement. Mindy follows her down and gets her shit, doing the whole red herring of, for one of them the killer, because they're talking about how each other is suspicious. But that's what made me think of it, because I thought of Tatum in the garage. And I was like, no. And then I was like looking at other things, and I'm like, it'd be really smart if they did that actually, because this house would be old by now. They would have remodeled something, so it wouldn't be identical, but the layout would stay basically the same. And then you start to kind of like meander through the house, and you're like, oh, this has to be, before they like confirm it. And that was part of the thing that added, I think, to the comfort and the familiarity of it. I think it's a super smart choice.
Well played indeed.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the chat real quick. The score psyching us out for Wes's scene. Loved it. Derek says. Corduroy says I felt personally assaulted by Wes's hair.
I like his hair, by the way.
I could kind of give it. I don't know.
He got rid of it after. His hair looks normal now. It would never look like that. And I think it was smart because he always had the same brown hair and everything for what he's known from Goosebumps, 13 Reasons Why, and Don't Breathe. He looks the exact same, and he looks very young. I think he's like 25, but he does look like a teenager. So I think to make him look a little different was probably a good choice. And then they gave Liv the pink hair, which that's not been a like super popular thing for a quick minute. But
I feel like
something
that
to
was a
help her
throwback.
stand out. Like, so they stand out enough. I don't think that they look super scene kitty. So that was cool. You can tell them apart more easily. And like I said, each one, it's like, even if like Liv, like you don't really have the investment of her character. I think that if Chad and Mindy weren't brother and sister, they probably wouldn't be that interesting. But the fact that they put them together and, you know, giving each other shit, and it felt pretty natural.
Yeah, that was a big point too.
Between them without being forced. I mean, it wasn't just, hey bro, hey sis, like a porn set. Like it was, you know, just like fuck off. Like, can you leave me alone? We live together. Like normal brother sister shit.
That's a very big point.
Single kid households will never know the sibling rivalry feel of like, just fuck off. I want my space. What's it like to be a single child?
I can't say that I know. There's a few pants ninjas running around out there.
God.
They were talking. There was an earlier point that I totally skimmed by that I wanted to catch. Appreciate you, Metal, for taking care of them bots in chat. They pop up apparently a lot lately on a lot of people's channels, so keep an eye out for them, guys. So Tara Carpenter, and then we have Sam, whose real name is Loomis, Sam Loomis. The whole Halloween correlation with the names has been brilliant. Shout out to Bud making that point.
You want to talk about their about the relationship between the sisters?
We can discuss that a little bit, sure. I thought
that would overcomplicate things, to be honest. Maybe the end goal was to have the father, obviously the visage of Billy Loomis, visible again. But yeah. So I'll let you go. I don't want to talk too much.
No, you've been fine.
You're normally the beauty, and I'm the brains. But let's switch it up. And you don't have pants on, and I'm not wearing pants either. But I don't want to talk about what I'm wearing.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna try to recall what I can here. I need multiple watches to fully take in a movie sometimes.
You need a full sound drop for when the CBD hits, because I want a button to hit because I could tell.
Do you want me to sound put a sound effect in there?
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, it's more so I just had we had 5 bots in chat, and then I was having an issue. I was having an issue with the software for a second. I think I got that, and I was trying to look up the characters list so I could not screw up names. So, relationship between Tara and Sam is more than strained, to say the least. So let's talk about Sam. Let's start with her. I think that's a good focal point. So what? She was 8, or something, or how old was she? She was up in the attic. I forget the whole age thing.
She's really, all we need to know is she's the younger sister, the girl that's opening, played by Jenna Ortega. Tara. She's our opening girl. She's alive and in the hospital. We come to find out that Sam Carpenter is her older sister, boyfriend Richie. Which, by the way, man, Jack Quaid plays him. If he doesn't look exactly like Dennis Quaid, I don't know what does. I was trying to stare at his face and see like Meg Ryan, and I'm like, nope, it's just all Dennis Quaid. Like, it's such a young Dennis Quaid. It's crazy how much they look alike.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, so essentially Sam knows that she's the bastard child of Billy Loomis, and she does not want to taint her younger sister's future life by being affiliated with being the daughter of a serial killer and this affair that occurred. Their mother cheated with Billy Loomis or yeah, I guess to go back and forth, whatever. She's keeping this a secret. She has a different father than her sister, whatever. So
But
it's
there was a whole thing with
strange.
the high
She
school
left
sweetheart thing.
town.
That was big. Let's get on that a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam and Tara's mom, obviously same mom, like Kerri just said. So yeah, cheated with Billy Loomis. She had a high school sweetheart. Was pregnant. Told the high school sweetheart it was his. They ended up doing the whole family thing. Yada yada. Second kid is born, Tara, and that's actually his first daughter, but we don't find that out, Yada yada. Just to paraphrase all this quick, So at one point, the older daughter, Sam, runs up, finds a diary, reads through it, and finds out that Billy Loomis is her real father. Storms into the bedroom, starts screaming at her mom about this. Meanwhile, her husband is behind on the other side of the room there, behind the door or whatever. Had no idea about this. That was the first he's heard of that. So by doing this, causing him to pack up and leave that night. And then Sam, when she turns 18, disappears as to not, as you mentioned, taint Tara's life with this whole legacy thing and whatever. But please.
I think their relationship felt very real. It felt like a sister relationship. I think they
Right.
did a good job with them.
Tara feels abandoned. Sam was trying to protect her. It's that whole dynamic right there. That's a big point.
And she acted like a big sister, but it wasn't the forced tough girl shit. It was the mild stoicism, I guess, of I need to do this, but I'm still a human being that is conflicted and I have my own shit to deal with. I don't think that it was, like I said, I think they did a really good job with making people feel lived in. They did not feel
it didn't feel
like they didn't feel like cardboard characters. They didn't feel like they were just airbrush. They had layers, even if they were minute layers, like with Liv. And honestly, if we're being honest, we didn't get many layers with Amber either. Amber's just memorable for different reasons that we'll get to. But even when they didn't have that many, they either had a visual interest to them or they had just enough of a piece of the story to where it's not distracting and it's not try hard.
I'll give it that. Definitely not try hard. Everyone seems to agree with the no pants comment, by the way.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah.
I don't have pants on. If anybody's wearing pants, you have to leave. You're canceled.
Surrender thy pants. The modern day shackles.
Give the pants away or no mas.
No mas pantalones. We might be, speaking of that, there might be another pants thing going on in a few hours over on Twitch. Just letting you guys know. But back to this. There was too many pants in this movie for my liking, I gotta say.
Yeah. That's like what? You automatically deduct like what, half a star? Half a ghost face now?
At least.
Because if you go by, you gotta go by Joe Bob's, like you get, your extra points for titties. You gotta deduct for pants. Come on.
I'm not trying to steal Joe Bob's.
Pants foo.
Pants
no
foo.
pants foo.
No pants foo. This is Pants Headroom over here, okay? This ain't Joe Bob Pants. Oh, man. So, yeah, the dynamic between the two characters, the tension, the attack in the hospital. We want to get on that with Tara?
Oh, man.
I feel like that was a pretty climatic
that's good
scene.
Shit, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Give me your take on it.
So, honestly, some of the best acting I have seen and something I've really not ever thought about, at least with the hand. So, she gets stabbed through the hand when she's initially attacked in the cold open for the movie. The blade goes between her fingers. It looks like it's in two spots, like it might be like shredded. She's gonna be webbed for life now. And her hand is in a soft cast and she's been stabbed in different parts of her body. I think she got an abdomen, the back, the leg. She got all kinds of fucked up. She's got like a soft cast on. So Ghostface is coming back. We have our legacy characters that finally all convene and show up essentially at the hospital. Sydney Gale, Dewey. And we have Tara in the hospital. and she's all sorts of fucked up and loopy. This is where the information comes out. Sam tells her where they came from, what happened with their father, etc., and we catch up with that story. Meanwhile, fast forward a bit and things go awry. So we have Ghostface back in the hospital to finish her up, essentially, while he's also trying to bait Sydney and the legacy characters, get them separated. That's always the goal, right? We have a big group. Yeah. We don't separate them. We can't take everybody out in broad daylight. We can't take everybody out in a hospital. We know we're going to have, if we have one killer, we have two killers, we have three killers, we have 10. You still can't take out a whole group of people without somebody's going to intervene, right? So it's smart. They break them up. But this acting, oh, I love it. So she has a wheelchair. She's all fucked up. She's realizing the power goes out. She's got to get out. She's got to move. Tara puts herself in a wheelchair with a fucked up hand, and I was cringing the whole fucking time. I'm like, dude, your hand is sliced open, even on painkillers. That's unfathomable pain. This tendons and sinew just shredded. And they show her rolling the wheel, which is just such a subtle but pragmatic touch of, you have to survive. That is unconscionable pain, surely, with any amount of medication. And you see, and you like hear the squish of like that soft tissue as she's trying to roll it. And I think she did a great job with the acting, totally believable with the pain, with the struggle. And then she's getting fucked up more. Ghostface keeps fucking her up. She's getting stabbed. She's getting stepped on. We lose a random deputy in the hospital. She realizes she has no protection. Why is there only one deputy? Nobody knows. But she's getting fucked up some more. This girl can take a punch.
Well, here's the thing with that. Let's talk on that with the deputy. Didn't the one get pulled away because the sheriff? Or was that later on?
That isn't the point.
Okay.
Especially at night. I don't know how many hospitals you've been in at night, but I swear that every level or every wing, even without an issue like a killer is going around, there are always cops. That's normal. There doesn't have to be a security detail on somebody. There's cops usually at night at hospitals.
At least one or two.
Right. But with that, they have more than two, but they also have people in the front. They had it surrounded, but what's the point of surrounding something when you don't know who it is? So that might have been an oversight, but
there's not much else they would do. That feels like standard procedure in a small town,
Well, we're getting everybody fucked up, and we get the legacy characters. We have Tara, we have Sam, we have Richie, and they all have the chance to leave, and the typical want to know who it is thing we start with in the first of removing the mask or whatever, like Casey did it first. Dewey wants to go back, and he's like, it's like essentially like he's it's not over. I want to know who it is too. I'm gonna make sure. And they kind of all have that look of, this could be it. Like they're all realizing, I think, the potential of, to quote the Creed soundtrack from 2000,
no,
Scream 3.
Don't do
Is this the end? But they kind of all expect, is like, I think they have resolution. Like, if this is it, we're going to go down fighting without we're tired.
Right.
Like, if it happens, like, I don't think anybody is really pressed. And that's another reason why I think that family decision was strange with Sydney. Cause I'm like, I don't really think she's too pressed to stay alive. I don't think I would be. Like, again, all of their organs have been punctured at least 6 times. Like, do you really want to keep going? Cause I'm tired. Like, I'm not showing back up. I'm still not going to be here. I'm going to be in Fiji. Like, I'm not hanging out in Woodsboro ever. I'm not going to be in the States. I'm gone. My name has changed. I don't have a social security anymore. I'm gone. I'm done. Like,
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel where you're coming from, but I think I'm going to interrupt you for just a second with the Dewey part. I think that's one aspect. And I think the second aspect is that's a very typical Dewey thing to do. Like, that's Dewey. Stand up, try to be the good guy one more time, Try to make sure everyone's safe. I feel like that's...
But to your point, hey, garbage pail queen. Bud said law enforcement is usually competent in Scream movies, but not in this one. I disagree. Scream 4, my friend, Anthony Anderson. I don't know about those two. But yeah, I don't. It had a big shift. I feel like in the first one, you start outside of Dewey, you have the tired sheriff. You know, you have everybody's tired. They're small town cops. They're used to being able to kick their feet up at 7 every night. Like they don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
And this is moving more like big city. The city's developed more since the first, it seems. And then obviously Gail's coming from New York, and Dewey's kind of small town. But Dewey goes back to check and see who the killer is, finish him off, whatever, however you want to look at it. And
the saddest moment in Scream history hits me. My soul gets ripped out, and part of me is lost forever. They gut Dewey like a damn fish.
I was like, please, actually, though, like once they start to rip in, I'm like, please let him die. Don't let him live through this.
Well, the dual knife.
He's not going to have feeling anywhere below the neck after this. He's not going to be living anymore. Like, you got to let him go.
Let's get into that. Let's get into the detail of this kill. Knife goes in the front, knife in the back. And it just reminded me, I had that flashback. I'm going to gut you like a fish. That's the first thing that hit me in the head. And I'm like, boom. And then at the end, it's been an honor. Like, that was like, whoa. Like, I mean, I feel like not only did that speak for the killer, but that spoke for the audience too, that were like hardcore true fans of like me. Like, I love Dewey, you know?
When you find out who his killer is, I think it makes the most sense that the it's been an honor thing is muttered at that moment by that, in that specific instance.
I almost teared up a little bit when I heard it's been an honor. Like, I was like, oh man, there's part of it's gone. But I mean, you got to accept these things, you know? It makes sense.
That's the legacy characters I expected to lose were the ones that were lost. So there were no surprises there.
Right.
I think that's cool too, because we'll fast forward ahead to just simply saying we can go back. But you know, we have Gail, we have Sydney ending the movie. We still have them, but they're not doing it of, oh, this is female empowerment. You know, like, no, they're just characters and they're scrappy as shit. They made different choices. It doesn't have to be, oh, let the women live. I don't think that was the thought at all.
They survived, and they're both tough in their own regard.
And I don't mean that as a misogynist. I don't mean it as a feminist, that they should or they shouldn't, but it's just the point of all the box checking that gets so tired, and all of these reboots and reimaginings, remakes, whatever requels you want to call them, of box checking. It's exhausting. It immediately removes, and that's why I think a lot of people have pivoted to stuff that's more cerebral and elevated, of like A24, of it giving you mystery, allowing there like to be an enigma now. And even if it's nonsensical, or it's mostly just an art piece or an art sorry if you hear the bell ringing, my cat's in here.
You're fine. Real quick,
I think it's more of, it's even if it's more spectacle than story for a lot of the cerebral horror movies, it gives you something that's different, that's not entirely expected. And just whenever you watch, especially franchise movies, when there's already that formula there, and even you can't always subvert the subversions. You can only do it so many times before you end up exactly where you started. And they embraced that. They didn't vary too much from it, and it didn't make it tired. It made it comfortable. But I would literally say that out of all of the movies, the first time I watched them, I did not see anything in the theater. I saw Scream 4 when they had it. I think it was like a year after or something, I don't know. Anyways, right. But yeah, none of the originals. I was too young. I wasn't allowed to see stuff like that. So I saw everything on, DVD.
Well, let's get back to the Sid.
The first was the only one that I think had actually made me feel tense. I never felt in any type of true tension for me personally in 2, very small parts of 3, and not really at all in 4. This felt like the first to me.
Well, I want to speak on the dynamic between Sid and Gale right there, like you were talking about. It didn't feel forced. It's not about empowerment. It's about these two characters are survivors. We look at them as characters and uncheck whatever boxes, but I don't even pay attention to that. Like they are two survivors of men. And to see the dynamic of, once again, for me rewatching the first one, of their relationship to where they're at now, it's beautiful, it's natural, it feels right, and they're both connected by what happens with Dewey, and I feel like that pushes them just a little further. You know, they have more, obviously, big motivation factor for Gale. You know, to end the killing, and so they're at the we're at the final part with like you were talking about between excuse me, Gale and Sid. You thoughts on how that all played out regarding revealing the killer and all that stuff?
Okay, so pretty much our red herrings are set up, I think, fairly equally throughout. I don't.
Sure.
If they were trying to go for it, might be a legacy character, which I think would have been a terrible move, and it is a terrible move. I'm glad they didn't even really hint at it. Like they didn't even be like, oh, like it's maybe one of the. They were like, it's going to be somebody new.
Yeah. Right.
My initial thoughts. So I had two thoughts on who I thought was going to be the killer. I thought it was going to be the brother and sister. I thought it was going to be Mindy and Chad, or it was going to be a collective effort from everybody. But I never thought it'd be a legacy character. I thought it'd be maybe like a kind of a conspiracy collective with the new friends. They all want a cash grab. They want a piece of it. They all want to be viral for a moment. But I was wrong. So the obvious red herrings that were fed to us were Richie the boyfriend, because, well, look where Sam came from, Billy Loomis, and we had Sydney, so we had the boyfriend already. And then we had the fan-centric tailgater friend of Stu in the first. So in this one we get, it actually is the boyfriend. So we get the boyfriend. And then in this house that we're in, which is Amber's house, that was Stu's house. And she's just a super fan. So that it's been an honor comment going back to that. That makes sense that she was the one that took out Dewey, because she was just a super fan. Like this was not anything personal to her. This was just, this is my shit. I love the Stab franchise. And the whole things are they are fans. This is the state we live in now of everything's got to be bigger and badder, and we don't like that basically movies are failing us right now. So we want to create the sequel we want to see by being the sequel. And their version, the requel, we're gonna reboot it, or we're gonna do it similarly but differently, and this is the movie we want to see. We're going to create it right now. We're not going to wait for another shitty installment by somebody else. So they take it into their hands, and we have a duo of killers again.
Once again.
Yeah.
Which I'm reading the chat real quick. Let's I want to get on something real quick. Bud was asking thoughts on them revealing that Kirby Reed survived Scream 4.
I'll let you take that one.
I got nothing on that. I don't remember 4 well enough.
Oh, that's right. So he didn't watch Scream 4 recently. I mean, I think like everybody, I think here, Finn. Here.
For some reason 4 is not streaming where I can find it.
No, it's not anymore. I bought them all in a bundle on iTunes and physical media, obviously. But
right.
Kirby, I really like Charlie, but I'm a Rory Culkin fan from 4, so I would have liked if Charlie made it, honestly, over Kirby. I like Kirby too, but I think that they left it open with her living, because my fear is they're not going to leave this right now. I mean, it makes sense, it makes money, kind of, but she can come back in the next, even if it's a small portion. And they'll probably do with her what they did with Judy, because she'll be a semi-legacy.
I can see it.
I don't think that it would be smart. I think that they need to let Sleeping Dogs lie with the legacy characters. Leave them alone. Maybe Gale could be like on the phone as a consultant, kind of like what they did with Wes in New Nightmare. Like just have her as like maybe like a guru, but she's not in active play. She's just mentioned once, or like same with Kirby. But if they're doing Kirby, I think they're going to try to make her, you know, a new Sydney, and maybe that's why they left her alive. I don't, yeah, I can see like people basically, you know, they think Sam and Tara, the sisters, and whoever survived, they're gonna kind of have their own branch off of Scream. I don't think it would be smart. I don't think it's sloppy, that it's like they're poorly written. I just think that everything's really nice where they left it. To me, like I actually really do like Scream 4 now, but like I said, I hated it for the longest, and it still does not feel canon to me.
Right.
But to me, Sydney's arc ended in 3. Like just that closure that we see and feel in 3. I really don't want to see her come back. You know, Courtney Cox is older now too, with Gail, and you know, she's been doing, you know, she's been a reporter for so long, which is already a dogged career, and she's tired, man. Like, they look worse for wear. They're convincing. You know, Dewey look like shit too. Like, they look like they've been through it. I don't think we need to talk about their story anymore. I think their story should be done.
At this point, I agree with that. All right, so let's skip ahead here, because I was going to say there was some comments on the end here with the monologue between.
Metal Man says he wants spoilers, that he has not seen it.
Yeah, I know Metal hasn't. We were talking about that the other night. I'm like, I'm going to see it.
Well, don't blame us then.
He'll yell at me later, I'm sure. That's fine. Richie's reveal was one of the best. I can agree with that. Richie's monologuing in the kitchen was the closest we got to Stu and Billy in the first. I'd say that monologue was pretty solid. And how can a fan be toxic? That resonated so hard with me. Like, that line. Because I feel like it's such a play on today's culture and what's going on. Like, and we were talking, you were mentioned about classifying as this is this and this is this, and putting all these sub labels on horror. Can it just be horror, or can it just be this, or whatever? I think they played a lot into with that monologue. Just spoke volumes about how people perceive movies and how some fandom can be toxic and people can go nuts. And I don't know what's going on with these bots. Jeez Louise. Sorry, bots.
They're trying to make you look at their prawns.
They can't see it. $20, and I'll look at things. You pay me to look at your
for 20. What kind of prawns are we talking about?
Well, I'm saying I'll look at their prawns for $20.
Oh, you won't provide it.
No, I'm worth more than that. At least 40.
Oh. Thought I knew you. Guess not.
Guess not.
Life's a joke, and then we die.
As the comedian said in The Watchmen, it's all a fucking joke. That's why we steal pants. But no, that monologue was just perfect. And I kind of called the killers. Like, I did. I was sitting there in my head like, that fucking goth chick's definitely got to be part of this. Like, she's just something about her. I get a vibe, you know? Mm-hmm. And then when we see the boyfriend, I hear you, Chad. I see you, brother. You're good. When the boyfriend's eating pizza and watching reviews, I feel like that was a pretty subtle hint right there.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I think that
and he was watching Netflix in the hospital, like. I think all these little subtle hints were there for him. If you have followed the clues, I feel like that was a pretty obvious one, and I just got a vibe, and the bar scene when they were forgettable character with the mustache was there harassing him, ends up getting slaughtered outside of the bar there. Like, it just seemed it had to be one of them, and I was like, well,
Thrasher.
Damn right,
no,
son.
Yeah. Well, you start to whittle down the list too of who it can be, because more people are dying, and you know, we know who's left in the house for sure. We know who's on their way to the house for sure, because we're seeing Gail, we're seeing Sydney driving. We see who's interacting in the house. Sam is back at the house. She finds Tara tied up, duct taped in a closet. Is that a red herring? What they're trying to set up, at least, is it Tara pretending like she's, you know, hurt? Is it, you know, somebody baiting Sam?
Right.
We don't know, whatever. So our killers are revealed. We have a boyfriend. We have Amber, one of the friends. One's the super fan, and then the boyfriend's doing the whole I want a movie I want to see thing. They're kind of same motivations, kind of.
And that's what Dewey called it. When they sat down with Dewey, when they went first to meet Dewey, and he's like, always check the love interest first. And the
Right.
way that first scene played out, recreating the first movie, it makes you analyze a little bit. Okay, where are they taking this? Where are we going?
Yeah. Sure.
As a total throwback. So I'm just sitting there thinking, wouldn't it be funny? He's the first one, yada yada. Here we are. Definitely.
Chad, your brain never works. Love you though, boo. Smarty pants. I'm kidding. So what do you think about how we dispatch our killers? We'll go with Richie first.
I think Amber's death is more memorable than Richie's in my head. Obviously.
I think it's just goofy enough.
Yeah.
I think, man, what a fine line. Because they started to do it, and I was like, oh, they're gonna do that, aren't they? Like she falls into the stove, and I'm like, oh, don't do that.
Well,
Yeah,
that
and
signifies the
I'm
burning
like,
popcorn in the
oh,
first one.
like no. And then like, of course, it's gonna come back, so she's gonna look crazy when she's running, and I'm like, it's gonna be too much. And then like they did it, and I was still kind of like, it might be like goofy enough. Like I don't think it's over the top, but I think it could have been a little more brutal with her. Maybe like, well, daddy had a shotgun in the house, so once that bitch goes on fire, maybe we should just blast her through the chest instead of the jump scare back up and running half burnt and bald. And just let it be vicious and empty, because that's what that character deserves, is an empty death. They don't need that, hardcore or any type of empathy to their deaths like Judy
Right.
and Wes, or you don't need to feel any type of pain, because this is just a hollow shell of a fake person, and this is who they wanted to be viewed as. This is who they really were. So you didn't know them anyway, so let's take them out in a very impersonal, blunt way. I think that I probably would have liked that a little bit more, but it wasn't. Again, there's nothing in this movie to me that's a deal breaker. Like there's
Right.
nothing that I see that I'm like, who would you recommend this for? Who's the audience? Obviously a franchise person, and I would say especially a purist. Like if you're a purist, then I'm going to tell you to watch this before you even see 2, and that's a bold statement. Like I'm a sucker for 2, mostly because of the cameos. Not a fan of the music number, not a fan of O'Connell, but like I like parts of 3 a lot better than 2. I just love the cameos in 2. But if you're going for a purist, I would put this above the pack for any other of the Scream films. You have all the familiarities, and if you truly are fangirling that first, it's just going to mean more to you. Like even if you don't have all those movies in between that sandwich, it's just, they can either be bookends or they could just be, companion pieces. But also, a new fan too, because you get enough exposition to where you understand who the legacy characters are. And yes, of course, it's going to mean more to you if you've been around, but if you've not been around, you're going to understand who everybody is. I can't imagine, I've really tried to pick it apart. I don't think that there's too little exposition to where you're not going to know who these people are, or you're going to be left in the dark, or feel like you're just generally left out of the inside joke, of X, Y, and Z for 5, which is, that's craftsmanship because that's hard to do. I've been writing a long time, and it's really hard to write for everybody. Really hard. They had a solid team for sure.
Well, I think that goes for any kind of entertainment. It's just hard to please the entire audience. That's a challenge. It's a super challenge, and especially this day and age, which once again they touch on with the dialogue between the killers, and then when she's begging for her life, saying blah blah blah, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing, the reasons like why they did what they did, and they're sorry, and she's like fuck you, boom, right into the stove. You know what I mean? That was beautiful. That I feel like not only was that a great scene for the movie, but like I feel like that's a way a lot of people feel like about these cultures and the stuff going on right now, where people are like blaming everything else except themselves for their misdoings, and how it goes back to movies made me do it back in the day, all that stuff, there's
Well, I
definitely
think what's powerful rolled into that was the fact that so you have you finally have Sydney and Gail pull up to the house while all this shit's popping off inside, really.
right.
So and when Sydney swings the door open, you see the vast foyer, you see the whole display of the house, and you're like, fuck, I'm back. And then she's like, fuck, I'm back at the same time that you're thinking it.
Yeah.
And that was cool. But
That was
Gail
nice.
gets the minute the Amber, before she's basically outed as the killer, she is, faking being super hurt, like stumbles out front, kind of like opposite of Stu and Randy in the first, of being on the other side of the house. And Sydney and Gail are like, I don't trust this shit. Like, and she's like, fuck it. And she, goes to shoot them both. Amber goes to shoot Gail and Sydney. And Gail's getting fucked up in the gut again, this poor woman. And, Sydney's not going to leave her for these new people. And she's like, do it for Dewey. So I love that, the do it for Dewey moment. And you can see the love there. It feels genuine. It feels like maybe like co-parents that get along. Like we still love each other, but we love this mutual cause more, whether it be a child or something they have to protect. So they're looking out for each other, but again, they're tired. They're like, can we just wrap it up? Also, after, our killers and everything, we're dispatched and we're closing. Instead of the initial 1996 scream of Gail going to cover the story live right after her attack, she says, fuck these guys. They're
Right.
going to die anonymous. We're not going to give them what they want. And that reporter instinct in her, she realized what her limitation and her value was there. And she knew that she could give power or she could take it away by doing nothing, which I think is pretty fucking cool too.
I think it took her long enough.
Applause for Gail.
Real quick, getting some comments in the chat. Shout out the Chopper says, "Hey, great stream so far. You both rock. Much love."
Mine's laggy. I get to see stuff, but it comes in a little later, so it looks like I'm ignoring people.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I'm trying to scan through these guys. Magic Ninja, what? She's purty. Straight Sith male says.
Yeah, he's been radicalized. That's awesome, Derek. Was it by Pants Ninja?
What's this now?
Thanks, Sith. I think that you have radicalized Derek. He says, it's not my fault I was radicalized.
Yeah, it's his
killer.
It's perfect. Like, I just feel like that's such a metaphor for how people, at least how I felt about a lot of these, not taking responsibility.
Speaking of which, if you guys stay for the after party, we are going to be doing some special inductions where we wear track suits and shoes. No need to be worried. The weather is going to be great. The sky's going to be clear. If you just give your donations now in the form of cash monies to Pants Ninja, we can go to the promised land, but we're not a cult. Repeat, we're not a cult.
Hallelujah.
Don't wear any pants.
Pantsism.
You're not going anywhere if you have pants on.
Straight Sith male, Max Headroom background. Yeah, this is Pants Headroom coming at you live. Just wait till I get the effects in. It's going to be great. Me and Metal are working on
I should have had one for mine, but I was too lazy. I was like, we'll get the original Scream poster in the background because my horror room is a wreck right now.
Well, I was going to point that out about the Scream poster. That's definitely prominent. We can see it. I love it.
That was a cool gift from a fan a long time ago. It's an actual real one that was given out, an original. It's like frayed and everything on the edges from movie night and like premiere. It's kind of cool. It cost a lot of money, not my money, but
hey,
nice fan.
For everyone just joining us, we have the Hot Horror Queen Kerri King here, and we're discussing the Scream franchise. Mostly, just went through most of the last movie and our little takes on everything. No
and
pants.
I'm dressed in pajamas because I'm amazing and beautiful.
Right.
And you don't have pants on. I can confirm. There was anus.
She can confirm.
Anus.
My anus.
So
final thoughts.
Like this.
Let's get final thoughts on Scream 5, and we can talk a little bit here.
Well, let's see. So you don't remember most of 4. Do you have a fresh recollection of 2 and 3?
Mostly. I think 1 and 3 stand out more so than anything. I was explaining this to my buddy. Because 2 and 4 were the ones that I just kind of like faded on a little bit.
Okay.
But.
All right. So what about this? Give me your ratings of each Scream movie. As you remember, you can skip 4 if you want. I want a rating for each movie. I want a rating for this movie. I want a rating for the franchise as a whole.
Why are you making me work? God.
Let's do it.
All right, so my ratings are based from what I remember, personal experience, and the time period of when I saw these movies, and how relatable they are to society, culture, the tropes.
I got captions. Sorry. The comments are popping up later, and I'm like, what the fuck is...
You loving this?
All right.
These are the people that come to see
All right.
us.
Okay. So first, give me a rating for 1. We can go back and forth, and that'll just be easier. What would you give 1? You go first for this one.
As a fresh, just seeing it for the first time, I would give it a solid 4, 3.5 to a 4.
You're talking about 2022's.
No, I'm talking about the last one, the first one, first Scream.
Okay,
Scream
first
5?
Scream. 4 out of 5, or 4. We'll do out of 5. We'll do 5. We'll do 5 masks, maybe.
You want to do
5
that?
stabs. 5 stabs.
Yeah. Okay. First off, what's the rating system? Let's get that established.
Okay. Let's do however many out of 5 stabs. We got our knife.
5 stabs.
This is a knife, by the way. Look, everybody, the knife.
I have my doctor needle that the green screen cuts out what's in it, but it's pretty.
You're
fun.
not doing it. You never let me sexualize anything. You always have to be the meat. Let's leave the 5 and
The stabs.
Never mind, I'm done. Stabs. It's gotta be
Listen,
a gift later.
I already gave you a head the first show. What do you want this show?
All right. Okay, so
oh, gosh.
We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
So you do 1 first and I'll do it. Okay.
Okay.
So you say 4 out of 5? I would give the original 4.5 out of 5. I don't think it's perfect, but it's perfect enough for me.
Once again, I'm going like a 3.5 to a 4. That's my final. Like in that area.
So for
being like
second one. So for Scream 2.
Scream 2, I feel it's not as memorable for me, so that makes it a little lower on my list. I would give it a solid 3. 3. I give it a 3.
All right. For me, Scream 2 currently as it stands is a 3.5. Now that I'm considering 5 as well, it changed, but we'll get to that. So what do you think about Scream 3? So 2000 Scream 3, what would you rank that?
I would give that
out of stabs, and you have to show me the stabs while you do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then half of one.
Is this pumping or is it jerking off? Like, I don't know.
Whatever you want it to be. I aim to please. As long as I'm aiming, we're good.
It's not. It's going everywhere because there's no pants.
I've never heard a complaint before. So I'm gonna give it like I give that a 4, a solid 4 stabs on Scream 3. I enjoyed that. It was a theater experience for me. It was a time period. When I saw it, it's a whole. It's not just the movie for me. When I experience a movie in a theater, it's a whole thing. So it's a special moment for me, and I'm giving it a 4. And I thought it could have been and should have been a solid end to a trilogy.
I like it. I also give Scream 3 a 4. I like parts of it more than I like 2 overall. So
Sure.
It's higher for me. And then Scream 4. You don't have a fresh recollection. I would give Scream 4 a 3. I think that it's a solid movie. I don't think it doesn't feel canon to me, and
it's forgettable for me.
I'd be fine if it was excised from the franchise altogether.
Right.
So for 2022's Scream 5 Cream, Scream 5, whatever you want to call it, what you got for me?
That's a solid 4.5 on this one. It was a total throwback.
Yeah.
I felt like the kills were solid. And the CGI did bother me. I'm not bothered by CGI, especially in 2022. You know what I mean? Like, it's expected at this point. You have to like it at some aspect, or you're just going to hate everything.
Sure.
And we all know, everyone knows that I watch trash. And I love it. I love my trash. I'm a huge fan of practical effects, but I'm going to tell you that, and this is going to go back to that interview we did with Steve Rudzinski. He brought up a point, a nice balance of CGI and practical effects works great. You can't hate one or the other, and it's true. So Scream 5, graphically speaking, visually speaking, loved it. Okay, lighting, we're talking the whole mood, the daylight scenes we were talking on, the lights out at the hospital even. The basement seemed extra dark to me, by the way. So like I noticed those little
It had been
things.
closed off, like it had been remodeled.
Right. It felt like
So, but that feels lived in as well, though, because you're not going to tell me that a house in this is the California Hills.
sure.
The California Hills. This is built in the 60s or 70s.
Right.
So there's going to have to be structural shit done. They're going to change something. It's going to be modernized. So
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I think it was smart.
Well played for sure. Music you touched on, fine. Yeah, it definitely gave me throwbacks to everything. It gave me feels. The whole general feel of the movie was a throwback to the original. That I don't even know what the hell they were calling it. Not a remake, not a sequel. The requel? That's it.
Yeah.
The requel. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard, but I'll go with it.
I would give it. I'm going to give it a 4.
Sure.
And I think that it's fair to say, I go back and forth with rankings. I'm like, do I rank it for what it is? Do I rank it for how it made me feel in what it is? Like, honestly, my mood changes. If I'm going by feeling alone, then the first would be a 5, and this would be a 4.5. But I think as a movie, as a cinematic choice, is this a good movie? Is it well executed? Is it doing what it aims to do? Is it subverting any expectations if we as an audience expect that? I think that execution-wise, a 4 out of 5 is fair. I mean, and that's a high recommend. Like I said, if you like Scream, there's no way I'm not going to say watch this movie. Now, I think that I would do that. I know that 100% I wouldn't do that for 4. For a person that's like, well, if you like Scream, you're definitely gonna like 4. I wouldn't say that at all, because it's just a different type.
It's a different feel
of movie. It doesn't feel like the same type of. It doesn't really feel. It is a slasher, but it's more hollow. It doesn't have that heart, and that's why it's very weird to me. Like, if you'd actually told me these directors were switched and Craven was on the helm of this one, I would believe you. And that was a different director for 4, I would believe you, because very little in 4 feels like Wes. So this feels so much more Wes than Wes felt himself in 4. So
understood.
I love that. The score, and then on top of that, not only just the score, the soundtrack itself. Scream is just known in most 90s slashers we know, like Urban Legend, and I know you did last summer. Those soundtracks were memorable for all of us that grew up with completely. That. Or like we all had them. We had CDs and streaming and everything. So I think that this was going back to the drawing board of saying, what's the formula? How can we just kind of spice it up a little bit, but not change too much? Because you're going to lose people and you're not going to gain people. Because shock only goes so far, and then, you're not the topic of the week anymore. This is something that I know will stand up for sure. Because it does have that Craven soul to it. That was severely lacking for me in 4, and that's probably why you don't really remember 4. And I'm telling you, I hated 4 for like 5 years. Corduroy and Chad can tell you I ranted and I was angry because I'm such a Scream purist. I've always loved 3. I've never been one to give 3 shit, but as I have grown with the franchise, then I guess maybe we should give our franchise ranking. I would give a 4 overall, because I feel like it's such a nice little adventure to go on. And I've had to do so many reviews for franchises at this point. Sure. And tell me you are not, even if you like camp or you like dog shit movies, we all like shitty movies. I mean, like we like Trauma, like Full Moon. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do here? So you can't say we don't like trash, but it's fun trash.
Yeah,
that we like.
There
is nothing fun about watching all of the Hellraiser movies,
which I did recently.
If there is to you, it's a slog. The Saw movies, I've done them all. They don't make you feel good, and that's not necessarily the point, but it's a ride trying to pump through those. If you want to like go through all of the Saw movies or the Hellraisers, you're going to spend 2 days doing that, and you're not going to be stoked that you watch them. Like Scream, from even with 4 included, which again, I still don't think is bad. I think it's solid. I don't think any of those are regrettable watches. It's fun. There's fun moments in every single one. There's tense moments in every single one. There are surprises. There are things that you definitely expect. There are dumb decisions, but they're very human decisions. And again, that's a Craven movie.
Completely.
There's always a certain humanity over a style. He definitely didn't have a directing style, but he had a vibe, and that's a Craven vibe to me.
I'm looking at the chat real quick too. We got some rankings from the chat. Bud's like, it's a 10. It's a fucking 10. I'm assuming he's talking about the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, yeah, I 4.5 on the first one. I'll match it up with at least the fifth one. Because thinking on that a little further, like that was a pretty monumental movie for the time, I feel like.
Hey Derek, I'm reading your rankings. So yeah, you guys should all tell us your rankings of each one in your franchise.
Get it, guys. Yeah, please.
I'd love to read them. But Derek, I have a question. So you said Scream 2 gets a 3 and Scream 4 gets a 3, which I find interesting. And you also ranked Scream 2 lower than 3, which I'm seeing people come around a little bit more to now because everybody kisses Scream 2's ass, which it's great and it did so many cool things. But you said they're both 3s, but what if you had to kick one off a cliff? What are you going to choose? Are you going to keep Scream 2 or are you going to keep Scream 4?
2.
If they're even?
2.
Derek?
2 because I'll say 2 because it fits. That's my guess. But we're gonna keep 2. We're gonna kick 4.
That's what I put this last time for my rankings. Corduroy. But I think I'm switching them now.
1,
I think
5,
my
2, 3,
rankings
4.
for my favorites are 1, 5. Sorry, my air is blasting. I thought I turned it off. 1, 5, 3, 2, and 4. I'm changing up 3 and 2 now. I like 3 more overall than I like 2. But I think I've always given 2 more credit because I was so obsessed with the cameos with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Joshua Jackson. I mean,
Cameos are great.
child.
Cameos are great in that one from what I remember. But I'm telling you, for me, just that like you pinpointed it with that ending sequence, unlock the door, open the gate, that was more monumental than a lot of moments I felt into.
Yeah.
I was invested with Sydney in that point in my life. Like as a horror fan, like I said, I went to the theater to see it, so that tells you something. Like if I go to the theater to see it, you know, that means something to me.
I told you. Said you have to go.
Yeah.
You have to go, Joe.
I did, and here we are.
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you for coming on here.
I haven't been back. I thought I was going to be able to go back, but life happened, so.
Well.
But yeah, I'll have time because it's killing it in the box office, and that's worth mentioning too, that this tripled the box office of the total box office of 4 just in the opening weekend and a half.
Well deserved. Well deserved, I feel like.
It was returned to form, but like I said, it's so strange because it really feels like switch directors. A good job for Matt for this one, for knocking it out of the park, but surprising because Wes didn't feel like Wes, and this guy feels like Wes, so I'm not mad at it.
No. Metal Man, I see you. Halloween 3, Exorcist 3, Leprechaun 3 in that order. You're an ass. I love you.
Exorcist 3 is the shit. That should... I would actually put Exorcist. I don't know. I love Season of the Witch, but
I just recently purchased Season of the Witch on
I might
DVD.
like 3 better. To be fair, Exorcist 3 is my favorite Exorcist. I'm not a huge Exorcist fan. But...
I was never that
The
invested in the
Exorcist
series.
was on. It got me thinking of you.
Wait, what was on?
The Exorcist was on. It got me thinking of you. I had to drop some Scream nerdism.
Oh,
Why not? We're here.
I love it. Cheers.
Right. Pants foo. No pants foo.
So are we starting our own show? Is that what you're telling me?
We already have our own show. It's called Psychosis, and it happens every day, all day.
Pretty much.
How would you describe
Psychosis? Well,
a little personal. I'm gonna have to go soon, but this is your first one of 2022, first show, first
Sure.
chit chat.
well, yeah, the first interview. Yeah, or I guess hard talk, whatever you want to call it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So do you want to bestow any wisdoms on the crowd before our exit for 2022, or about how I'm the coolest friend you've ever had, or anything humble, maybe?
Well,
Chad and Corduroy are gonna kill themselves in actual chat because they're like, this is crazy.
so
Like, they know how much of a headache I am after over a decade. Love you guys.
So what happened was, let me just give you the brief history of this right here. I ended up winning a contest. We started chatting. She comes on the show. One of my Best online friends right here. Real talk. One of my favorite people I've met. Amazing. Best Christmas gifter ever, I gotta say. Yeah, you're the best gifter. And I brought the bad boy out on a Twitch stream the other
Bedazzled
night.
a cock ring for him, you guys.
Yeah.
He loves it for Christmas.
I whip it out all the time. I'm surprised.
Not to get like personal, but like he can't get hard, so.
Well, when it's like 2 feet long, it's hard to get hard. It's just the blood flow.
Canceling myself.
She's my favorite.
I really tried. It was 2 hours. It just came out of my mouth.
You're good. You can say, listen, I'm going to say we got 5 minutes to say whatever you want to say at this point. So now's the time.
Leave it up to HHQ to ruin it at the end. It was going so well.
No, you're so good at finishing things. I'll tell you. You're the best finisher ever.
What's up?
That's what's up. So, anyone chat have any real quick questions for any of us while we're here? It can be about Scream, about whatever. We got a few minutes, and then I'm gonna probably end this up. But I will do a stream here in about an hour or two over on Twitch. Probably joined by Pickle. Maybe Leprechaun will show up because all my friends are named after, objects. It's not the show can't end until I make you snort. So.
It hurts.
That's what they all tell me.
So are you glad you went to see it?
Totally, like I have.
Do you want it to end right now? Do you want to see another movie, or do you want this to be the end?
I have no feelings. Like I'm cool either way. I feel like I said, 3 will forever be the best ending I could ever think of for that whole, I guess, sub. Whatever. I'm looking at like 3-parter and a 3-parter. You know what I mean? 2 different sets, like the whole Star Wars thing did. That's the way I look at this. So I'm okay with it ending. I'm okay with it going on. Like I don't know where they'd go, but I'd hate to see it repeat the same story again and again and again forever. Although, once again, Friday the 13th fan and all, feels like what it is, But at least Jason has a hockey mask.
That's a more true to form slasher of being less personal, though.
True.
It's that lower middle ground.
Right.
Of like the totem pole of like really personal slasher, or like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like The Prowler, it doesn't fucking matter, but it's fun as fuck to watch. The kills are amazing, the gore is great, but nothing matters. Like
I like not thinking
starting
sometimes.
point up to like something really personal, like maybe like When a Stranger Calls, or Black Christmas, or Scream. Like I'd put Scream probably about like an 8 out of 10 for that totem pole of personal slasher.
Sure.
But like
well, I mean, I grew up like we all know, early 80s. I remember watching stuff as a child, and it was a whole scene, it was a whole genre, it was a whole thing back then. Sleepaway Camp,
Yeah.
Let's get on that even. But
Thrasher said, how about 30 to 50 years later?
When I'm like 70, I want to see.
They're all in like Sunrise nursing home, just somebody stabbing random elderly people. Who is it? Roger's voice still is Ghostface, but he's like 170, so he sounds like a Marlboro smoker.
And it's like, it's not even anyone killing anyone. It's just they change their medication, steal their hairpiece. It's the whole thing. Fucking who's shitting my Depends?
I can't.
And it turns out Dewey's alive, but he's in like a vegetative state and he's like 400 years old.
Fucked up. What's wrong with you? You don't have any more privileges tonight. Put your pants on. Done.
Oh, at least it's good to see you smiling and giggling. That's the point here.
I had to say cock ring and you had to say vegetative state. What's wrong with that?
Dewey's just a head in a jar. Okay?
You guys are retired tonight. I'm done. I'm not getting back on Twitter. This is the end for me. Can you play me out to Creed? Is this the end?
I can't play Creed yet. But...
Just know you'll never see me again, guys. It's been real.
I had nothing to do with this, okay? Before you start thinking things. The body will not be in my living room, stuffed in this chair over here, It's not going to happen. The bedpan's missing. Yes, Chad. The case of the missing bedpan is some guy with a ghost face mask running around stealing bedpans. It's beautiful. I love it. My catheter. What happened to it? Yeah, he rips catheters out of people. It's
Y'all, we love you and all, but the
Yeah.
CBD's hitting pretty well tonight.
You're doing
For
good?
both parties, I think. Yeah.
Good. Beautiful.
So this is like a don't do drugs PSA and also don't wear pants. So
All right.
we got you. We've got you, horror fam. We have all of your Scream needs right here. I hope that you had fun. And I had fun, and I still have other things to talk about. But like you said, every scene and every beat shouldn't be discussed. Go watch it. If you've seen it already, watch it again. I think it's an instant franchise classic.
I agree. I'm gonna real quick just check the chat real quick. What do you want me to say? Tell the cast to Scream when I go try to eat them at Frightmares. Whatever. Just tell them. I hope they're well seasoned. Yeah.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Nick. Good to see you, boss. I thought you've been here before.
Yeah, we're a little like mentally floaty, so
It's cool.
I think we did a good job skimming, considering, right?
We did our
Like,
best. We scammed through it pretty good, I feel like. I do feel like this, like, you can individually, like, talk about each scene, each thing, and go on for hours about this. And that's how in-depth I feel it really is. But as she said, if you're a fan, go see it. Highly recommended. High reviews.
Yeah, do it. Definitely go see. I literally been telling everybody, if you're passionate at all about horror, if you're passionate at all about Wes, maybe not even just as horror,
Big
I would
point
go
there.
see this,
Big point.
Go see this in the theater, because I just watched the special release last year of the original in the theater, and that was so exciting. Like, I'm so happy that I went, and I was too young to see the first and the second in the theater, and the year that 3 came out, it was in the middle of me moving, so I didn't see that in the theater either.
Right.
So, especially because this franchise means so much, go see it in the theater, put money in their pockets so they can do something good again. If they're gonna do it, I think these people are competent to do. I don't want to see another one, but I will see it. I'm not mad, but yeah, I think that it should end here. But if they do make another, I'm not gonna say no, and I'm not gonna do it because why we had to do it for Halloween, right? Just to be.
I loved it though.
Like, I don't want to watch things anymore to be a completionist, and I'm definitely guilty of doing it. I also get paid to do it sometimes, but regardless, you know, this isn't a Saw franchise. This isn't love Friday the 13th, but it's not even Friday the 13th. You know, like, you have heart, you have investment, you have a solid score, you have a good soundtrack, you have competent actors, well-written characters. I mean,
yeah.
Preach.
It's layered. What can I say? Like an onion. Boom.
Like that booty.
Yeah, you know. Them apple bottom boys are coming, though. Watch out.
Do you want to tell anybody about the Apple Butter Boys?
I'll tell everybody that it's my new rap group, and I'm looking for members. That's all I'm going to say.
He needs members for the Apple Butter Boys. It's BOYZ, of course, because that's how they do it.
But
in the apple butter state.
And I'm also starting a boy band called Midlife Crisis. I'm looking for members for that as well.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah.
I had fun. Thanks for letting us rant and hanging out with us for a couple hours.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a little fun game called Sleep and see what's going on.
Well, let me real quick just shout out a few things. First off, Hot Heart Queen. Follow her on Twitter. Check her out everywhere. She's amazing. Once again, thanks for joining us on this. So, more things in the works. I have a history of horror games and mythology coming up. A small series I'll be doing on Twitch. Booking more interviews for YouTube as well. Mad Metal Man and I are discussing a few things coming up soon. Hopefully I'll be doing these more frequently. I took a hiatus over a lot of personal things going on, but we're coming back. So that's that. So anything you want to shout out before we go?
No, not yet, I guess. You can follow me on Twitter at Hot Horror Queen. I am still doing giveaways every month. I've been on over a year now with you all since I've been back to film Twitter. I still have an active giveaway going for January. I've done 3. this month. We reached, I think today we hit like 13.7 thousand followers.
Good Lord, lady.
Not bad.
You're doing all right.
I mean, it's cool. I sometimes have interesting things to say, but usually it's just fucking ramblecore. So appreciate you all for thinking there's something cool to follow about me, because I mean, I do have a sweet ass, but it's not for my sweet ass because I don't show it on there. So you're there for my fucked up thoughts and my weird jokes and
You're behind
my
the scenes, your
uncomfortable
battles.
art and whatever. Like my virtual Twitter vomit. You're there for it. I love it. I appreciate you.
I'm going to rebrand that and tell you that it's a cornucopia of horror history, facts, and entertainment that you really should be checking out.
Thank you.
Definitely worth it. You can check
I enjoy it.
Well, I love the battles. I still do. I'll be coming back on Twitter, guys. I know I haven't been around. I'm coming back.
I don't believe in 2020 as a society we have enough bullying. So if you could bother Ninja more and bully him rapidly to make him come back, that would be better. Like,
Yeah.
he's really too like mentally stable. To be honest, we need to knock him down a peg, and he'll come back to us. We'll break him like we like him. Just do it.
I'm gonna sound clip that later.
Break him like a good boy.
So I hope
Are you
guys.
having flashbacks of my conversations with customers?
A little bit. I'm having some moments in my head that I don't.
Michael know.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a good time.
All right.
But yeah, neg him more. Like, make him question, like, should I go on Twitter? Because he'll be scared if he doesn't go on Twitter, because you will find him.
I just feel like the only time I have anything to say is when I'm doing something on here, because this is where all my time is, between YouTube and Twitch and work. And
Metal Man says he's gonna bully.
Metal Man he'll probably call me later and, why aren't you on Twitter? Stop it. And I'll be like, Metal, get out of my closet. And it turns out it's just a voice in my head.
I found that every time that if you want to get your way with him, just send him a lot of nudes, but not of yourself, and definitely of like your grandma, because every time I send him old naked people, Ninja does whatever I want him to do.
Well, we just paste your picture, your face on them, and it's fine.
So good.
And wonderful. But I'm not telling you where I paste it. That's the funny part. Where's the ball gag?
We had our chat. I'm proud of you for going to the theater and seeing it, and everybody else go out to theater, watch it again. I'm gonna go back for sure and watch it again in the theater, and rent out the whole theater for myself, unless it's like a day showing, because I kind of want to do that.
We had a small crowd. There was only like 10 people when we saw it. So it was nice.
I like smiling. I feel like such an idiot. Like, it's such a nice feeling. Like, I think of all of the movies I've watched in the theater, which there's been a dry spell for a couple months now, but watched quite a few in the theater last year. I think that I left smiling because of 2 movies in the last year until this one. And I'm not sure that it's completely sane for the movies I left smiling about last year, but Scream makes sense.
Scream was great. Like we said, check it out. So support Ha Heart Queen. Go check her out on Twitter. Join a giveaway. Say hi. Thank you guys for coming in tonight. I appreciate you all, and hopefully we'll hit the little notification bell, subscribe. I appreciate it. Helps me out. Like, share, and comment. Do that if you support what we do.
You have to do this, or they don't know. You have to point down. Remember.
Go hit this.
Share and subscribe. Get the bell. Ring the bell.
Ring this bell right here.
Ring it right here.
Oh, is it over
Ring
here?
it a little bit.
Is it like that? So it's been fun being on YouTube. You can catch me on OnlyPants now. OnlyFlan. That was the other one. FarmersOnly.com. All right. Thanks again, guys. Thank you, Kerri. Just hang out for a second and I'll close this out. And hope.
What I want to do. Okay, chauvinist.
Yeah, Yeah, you're gonna hang out. All right. Well, have a good night, guys. I'll be over on Twitter in about an hour or so, or Twitch. Yeah, Twitch. I'll be over at Twitch. No Pants Ninja. Go check me out. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.